So today's question is, can you explain selective mutism? Well, selective mutism is an anxiety disorder that primarily affects children. And it causes them to consistently and persistently refuse to speak or to avoid speaking in specific social situations where speech would be expected, such as school or social events. Now, children with selective mutism can speak freely and comfortably in other situations, in familiar surroundings, for example, such as when they're at home or when they're with close family members. But they may become silent or unresponsive in other situations where they don't feel so comfortable. And this can cause significant distress and impairment in social or academic um, situations. And of course, it can also affect emotional functioning. So, selective mutism is often associated with social anxiety disorder, which is characterized by an excessive fear in social situations. However, it is important to note that not all children with selective mutism have social anxiety disorder, and of course, vice versa. It can be clinically diagnosed by a clinical psychologist, but make sure that you speak to a clinical psychologist who specializes in child psychology. Treatment will typically include things like a combination of behavioral interventions, such as, maybe a gradual exposure to the feared situation and reinforcement of verbal communication. Sometimes medication, but not often. Medication is a last resort. Medication is always a last resort. But with appropriate treatment, it can be overcome, and these children can go on to lead normal, fulfilling lives. Now, if it's not treated, it can follow the child into adulthood, and that's when it becomes very detrimental to daily life. If you watch Big Bang Theory, one of my favorite programs, Raj had selective mutism around girls, and he just wasn't able to talk. When a girl would be in the room, he wouldn't be able to speak. I mean, this is a fairly exaggerated form of selective mutism, but he treated it with alcohol, which I don't condone that you treat it with alcohol. But in one episode, Penny gave him a non-alcoholic cocktail without telling him. So without it, he didn't know, and because he thought there was alcohol in it, he was able to talk to women. So the idea of the alcohol was more of a social anchor for him, where he had convinced himself that he needed it to overcome the selective mutism. So yeah, so that's what selective mutism is.